When we finally left the fuselage to trek across the peaks and chasms leading to that valley in Chile, we encountered a vast no-man's land. It's almost impossible to remain alive in that weather, at 30 below, without any gear and after having lost nearly 70 pounds. It was impossible, everyone assumed, to trek more than 50 miles from east to west directly over the Andes, because no one in our weakened physical state would be able to withstand the rigors. We could have chosen to remain in that uterine fuselage, safe, until it too became inhospitable when we ran out of the only nourishment that was keeping us alive, the lifeless bodies of our friends. Just as the infant gets nourishment from the mother, we were able to do so from our friends, the most precious thing we had in that world. Should we stay, or should we go? Remain huddled or press forward? The only equipment we had to help us on our journey was a sleeping bag we cobbled together out of insulation from the pipes of the plane's heating system, stitched with copper wire. It looked like something plucked from a landfill. This child, still a fetus, still connected to her source of nourishment, can survive a little longer, just as we did in the fuselage. But one day, as with us, the cord will have to be cut if she is to live, because we are in a race against time. I was the last one to decide to venture out, and that's why this recurring image has remained with me, intense and haunting. When should we cut the cord? When should we subject ourselves to the ordeal of attempting to cross the hostile mountain range? I knew that a hasty decision to trek across the mountains carried great risk, just as premature labor does for these children with congenital heart defects. It took me a lot of deliberation to make my choice. There were simply too many factors, but I knew we were down to our last chance. Nando Parrado understood my doubts because he was wary as well, although he couldn't say this out loud for fear of letting down the rest of the survivors of the plane crash. With each person who died, we all died a little bit too. It wasn't until Gustavo Cerbino told me that one of the bravest of our friends, Numa Turcati, had died, that I decided it was time to go. It was time to leave the safety of the fuselage, to be born with a heart that wasn't ready for the outside world. One of my friends, Arturo Noguera, who'd had both of his legs broken in the crash and eventually perished, told me, "You're so lucky, Roberto, that you can walk for the rest of us." Otherwise, he might have been the one here today in my place. I was 19 years old, a second-year medical student, a rugby player, and Lauri Surraco was my girlfriend when our plane crashed into the mountain that October 13, 1972. Those 70 days on the mountain were literally a crash course in the medicine of catastrophes, of survival, where the spark for my vocation would become a roaring flame. It was the most brutal of laboratories, where we were the guinea pigs, and we all knew it. In that sinister proving ground, I gained a new perspective on medicine. To be healed meant simply to survive. Nothing I learned since could compare with that ignoble birth. In the hospitals where I've worked, some of my colleagues have criticized me, behind my back and to my face, for being domineering, impetuous, for flouting the rules or going beyond what's considered proper conduct, something my companions on the mountain accused me of at times as well. But patients don't care about the social mores of a medical corporation. They come to a hospital and then go home, no longer subject to its rules. My ways are the ways of the mountains. Hard, implacable, steeled over the anvil of an unrelenting wilderness in which only one thing matters: the fight to stay alive. Chapter 2. October 13, 1972. When I close my eyes, I often travel through time and space to find myself back in the Valley of Tears on the day of the crash. Until that moment, my friends and I